tools, are you using them to their full potential? Today's video is a food for thought video. I'm gonna sit here and tell you a little bit about how I think about tools and what I see with people coming through my school a lot and how much tools actually affect them. Now, tools play a major role in our survivability and our performance out here in the field. So I'm not trying to say that we shouldn't have tools or shouldn't take care of tools, because that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, do our tools hold us back sometimes from accomplishing the things that we want to accomplish out here? And do they hold us back from ourselves growing into something more as a bushcrafter, woodcrafter, or survivalist? And I would say yes, definitely. I see so many people come through my school that this happens to. So what am I actually talking about? So we might save up. We might save up for a long time. We do a lot of research. We spend a lot of time and money to buy that one piece of gear. And we love that piece of gear so much that we want to take care of it. But with that also comes a passion, love for that gear, to the point that we're afraid to use that we don't go out and we don't use it to its maximum potential. So I find people a lot switching out knives, switching out axes, that they don't want to use that good tool that they bought. And listen, I've done the same thing, but it's important that we take a step back and look at those items for what they're worth. Our most important tool is our brain. The smarter we are, the more we're going to be able to do out here. So our tools are just that. They're tools that are going to enhance what we're doing and make our lives a little bit easier. As woodcrafters and bushcrafters, I think it's important that we minimize what we're doing as much as possible. So when we come out, we shouldn't need 7 knives. We should need our 1 knife, our 1 axe, our 1 saw. And we should know how to use those things to their maximum potential. But people don't do that because they're afraid to use that good piece of gear. So let's look at it like this. I'm gonna try to hit a couple different scenarios, and if none of these work for you, just try to put it in perspective for yourself. I think everybody, if they open their kitchen drawer, they probably have a knife in that drawer that is just an oddball. That's their favorite knife they grab for everything, from cutting up meat to cutting up an orange or cutting up an apple, everything. They cut packages open with it when they get the packages in the mail. That's just like their go-to knife. No matter how nice of a set of knives you get or your wife buys, guess what? You still grab that old knife, okay? Same thing as if we are going out to do some yard work, okay? In my case, this tool, all right? I grab this all the time. Look, it's beat up. It's all messed up, okay? But I use it all the time. Year in, year out, I use that. And you probably have a similar tool. You go out to your shed, go out to the garage, and you grab that same tool, and you don't give it much thought, but it's your tool. That's what you use. You find so much utility in it, and you think it's important, so you use it. Okay, same with woodcraft or bushcraft. We go out and we grab one piece of gear, okay? And here it is for me. So I grab this bow saw, I'll throw it in the back of the side by side, and I don't think much about it, all right? That thing has been under snow for a whole season. It's been lost in the woods and then found. The kerf has been reset several times. It's been resharpened several times, and the thing just keeps kicking. And I don't give it much thought. I mean, I don't go home and think, oh man, where's my bow saw? It's where it is. Okay, I don't worry about it too much. Unlike that brand new knife we buy, we're oiling it every 2 minutes. We're worried as the edge. We're checking the edge. Every little thing we do. If we can get to the point, or you can get to the point, that you have these tools, these expensive tools, these good tools, and you just use them to their potential, it's gonna make life easier. It eliminates one more factor out here that we need to be concerned about, and we can focus on the task at hand. So when you buy those good knife, or you buy that good axe, it's important that we use it to its maximum potential, because then we understand the tool better. When you get yourself in a situation or a scenario that you have to rely and your life depends on them tools, you know they're gonna perform. You know the maximum performance level of those things. Now, this is not me saying just go out and not care about your tools. This thing, I'll throw in the grass here and I'll let it here for a month if you want me to do that. It just doesn't bother me. But I'm not saying go and do that with a brand new buck saw that you just bought. I mean, it's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, don't be afraid to use that buck saw. Don't be afraid to open that thing up, set it up, and have it at camp. Cut small logs, cut big logs, do what you need to do with it. Don't be afraid if it gets wet, because that's where you're testing your tools. That's where it's showing you what the performance is. If that saw gets wet the first night and you take it home and it cracks, well, it's better you found that out while you're playing out in the woods than you take it out into a trip in the backcountry of Alaska and realize now you don't have a saw for the next 2 weeks. So it's important to do that. Now the catch-22 with all this is, if you really use your gear hard, where's its failure point? But I don't like to, not that I don't like to talk about it, but the what ifs can drive you crazy. And you can what if everything all day. You can say, well, what if my knife is good for 2-3 years and then, you know, I'm using it hard, and because of all that hard use, it breaks the 3rd year when I really need it. I'm gonna save it till then. Well, I mean, the what ifs, they'll drive you crazy, but what if it doesn't break? So there's always that out there. So if you can learn to just fully use your tool, use every function of it, you know where it works, why it works, when it doesn't work, what it's good for, that's when you develop a better skill set around bushcraft and survival, and you can expand your skills that much more. If you really want to get into this, look a little bit more into documentaries about people who live off the land. Look at documentaries about frontiersmen. Look at pictures of people who and tribes who live off the land. You'll see the tools they use are their tools. I mean, they are well-worn, well-used tools, and there's a reason for that. They need those tools to stay alive. They can't go to their house and get their old crappy knife. And I'm going to show you an example. I have this old Mora. This was one of the first Moras I ever bought. And for the longest time, I had very good knives, high quality, custom knives. And guess what I would use all the time? I grabbed this because I was thinking in my head, I don't want to use that good knife. What if I dull that good knife? Or what if I damage that good knife? But this was good enough for me. I'd pull this out, I'd cut a package open at home to get my new knife out, and then I take this to the woods and I get my new knife out and I'd make a shaving and look at it and put it away because I don't want anything to happen to it, and that's just in case. But then this thing, this is what I'd use all the time. So why isn't this then what I'm using all the time? If this is what I'm using all the time, why in that emergency scenario, now I'm gonna get out the Holy Grail? It just doesn't make sense. And I could say this after years and years of being out here and learning to use tools. I think a big part of this is the more you learn to use tools, the more you understand that holding on to that Holy Grail, that when you pull that thing out, it's gonna be like pulling something out you don't know. This you know. So in my case, after all the time of using all this all the time, grabbing that other knife is just alien to me. I don't know how to use it. I mean, yeah, it cuts, but I don't know all the nuances of it. This, I could do shavings with this, I would butcher with this, I'd skin deer with this, I'd skin all my animals with this, but then that big knife, I'm struggling, I'm having a hard time, so this should be my knife. This should be my carry knife because I can not worry about this. It's there, I don't care if there's some rust on it, I'm not afraid to sharpen it. So looking at it like that, it might just broaden your horizons. Now I'm not saying, hey, every piece of gear you have to use super hard. I have gear that I barely use, that I just like it. I bring it out once in a while to just enjoy it, put it back away. I make sure I don't damage it or do anything. But if you know how to properly use your tools, you understand maintenance, which I've done a lot of maintenance on this channel with tools over the years. You can go back and look at those videos. Anything you have, if you can maximize your use of it, if it's this, or even an axe, okay? You're gonna be able to use that tool properly, maintain that tool, and get the most out of that tool, and that's super important. And that eliminates a lot of chaos in people's lives. So think about it, and I would love to hear what you guys have to say. If you use that gear or you have that secondary knife that is really your primary knife, leave in the comments below. And I know if you're saying, oh, I never did that, well, you're lying, because we've all done it. And I know myself, I still sometimes do it. With some gear, I just cherish just that much more. But it's important that that gear that we're gonna have and we're gonna have out in the field with us for that ultimate scenario is gear that we have used time in and time out. We're super comfortable with it and we know it's reliable. So this was Dan Walker, Coalcracker Bushcraft. Hope you enjoyed this video. Totally different, a little bit of a rant, a little bit of insight to what I think and what I like to talk about and think about when I'm gonna pick gear and where I evolved over the years. So as always, coalcrackerbushcraft.com. Till next video, stay in the woods and use your old gear. Use that gear. If you have that knife, use it. Come on.